We started setting up Draftr in October 25, and so we've been going about 8 months now, and we've done about 8 months worth of dev, or 7.5 months of dev. We've just started reaching out now to real life sort of users who aren't sort of tame users. So I've got another company called Anistic, which is a carbon accounting company. That's helped me test a lot of it. But now we're starting to reach out and try to find other people who have recruitment, cash collection, or want to bring AI into their business. So that's what we're at. But what problems have been the biggest ones where you look back on the past 8 months and go, well, they're the problems we've had, right? So I've got 7 problems listed down, absolutely without a shadow of a doubt, 100%. The 7th is by far and away my problem. Yeah, I know it's with other people. I know other entrepreneurs who've got exactly the same problem. But look, there's some other problems along the way. So look, number 1, what problems have we seen? The first is that with AI, you can develop things, you can set them live, put them in production, and sometimes they work fine on day one, they will stop. Now, I've got no idea, I could probably find out, but there's no, sort of one reason why things do stop, but it's a continual problem. We have about 100 agents running and spinning, and we have what's called an orchestrator sitting above those to check that they're running, and if not, to restart them. It all should work fine, but in reality, especially in a fast-paced development environment, that sometimes doesn't happen. And we had one agent fail this week. It's been in a failure state for about 4 weeks. As it turned out, it was trying to write to an SQL table. The data wasn't blah, 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 and it stopped. Okay, and it just sat there silently. So the orchestrator thought it was running, it wasn't. So what you think is working fine sometimes stops without telling you. So that's one thing we've seen. Another problem we've seen with AI development is unknown consequences of things. And I'll give you a couple of examples. The first is we put in a system to back up the database. So we write backups out. For the techie amongst you, it's called a bin log. Okay, we got it wrong, simple as that. And nothing looked bad and everything was going fine and etc, etc. But behind the scenes, the disk grew and grew and grew and grew because we got the bin log stuff wrong, and we ended up with a 5 terabyte database. There's nothing intrinsically wrong with a 5 terabyte database except that you will pay AWS for that storage. And so we were down, I think it was in that situation for about 3 to 4 weeks before we noticed the problem, and in that time we probably spent about £500 or £600 on additional AWS costs to host that. Kind of like we didn't think that would happen, but it did. Another kind of unexpected consequence we're getting is the rate at which we're burning tokens. That, I think, is the third problem I've seen with AI development. And the problem with doing an AI native company is that those token costs start up. On day one, you've got little queries running on simple, cheap models, and you haven't got many of them. We're now 8 months in, we've got like 100+ agents spinning constantly, and they're doing more and more complex things. So they're using more and more sophisticated models, which means that our token cost now has moved from the insignificant category into reasonably significant. I don't think we're going to break the bank. He's not looking at it going, oh my god, ... But instead of actually saying who cares, we're now in the okay, let's take a look at that. The other thing that we got with AI development, if you're doing an AI sort of company yourself, you will absolutely know this, is there's tons and tons of small bugs. Okay, there's squillions of them. It's very, very easy to get AI to develop a prototype. It was extremely fast, extremely simple, vibe code the thing, it looked wonderful on the screen. But then you'll say, when I click that doesn't happen. When I click that happens and that happens. Only that should happen, blah, 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 blah. And on it goes. There are lots and lots and lots of small bugs. It turns out that getting a prototype is dead easy. Getting it absolutely finished off so you can release it to someone takes a lot longer. And the classic software phrase, like 95% of projects spend 95% of the time 95% complete, is absolutely true for vibe coding. The next one I've got for you is security. If you're doing an AI native company and you intend to use it outside of your domain, you need to consider security. Of course you do, everybody knows that. But it starts to get a little bit more complex as you start getting user roles, user permissions, you start getting layering going on. You've got like people who can read, access, take the HR system, for example, read access, write access and read access to other things, but not that. You've got managers who can do that, but etc. On it goes. Actually putting a system in to manage all this, well, that was a couple of weeks' work just on its own. Not straight off. It didn't take 2 weeks to put the thing in, but the number of times we fiddled with it and kind of like added extra permissions, removed permissions or privileges, etc., etc. There's been quite a lot of work in that, and the security, I wouldn't underestimate, the difference again in real world environments between, what works for you and what will work in a production environment. The next problem that we've got with, an AI native company like ours is just making sure that AI harnesses, right? But making sure the AI harnesses are accurate and correct. And the job of the harness is to route the AI's answers back in the real world, to reduce hallucination, and when a hallucination happens, to spot it and pull it back and say, oh, actually no. And we're starting to see that become a bit more of a problem now. When we first started, we were doing easy things, little things, and they tend to be quite factual things like, what's that, is that, do that, okay, done it, sort of thing. Very easy things to check. But as time's ticked on, the agents have got more sophisticated, the tasks they're doing are more sophisticated, and therefore, trying to spot the hallucinations when they happen is become more complicated, and developing what's called this harness to say, well, look, just check that against that, just make sure that, all those are more complicated as well. And I think there's a lot more work that Draftr can do and will do and continue to do on those harnesses to get the harnesses tightened up even further, and as we get more and more sophisticated, that will take more and more time. The last problem, the biggest problem with an AI native company for me, and this is absolutely mea culpa, it's my problem, it might not be your problem, but I know other developers 100% have got this problem as well, and maybe it resonates with you, maybe it doesn't, we'll see. But the issue is not developing the product. Developing the product now is a lot easier than it used to be. As I've said, with all the other problems with running an AI native company is not trivial. There are some non-trivial parts to it. Developing the product's not the issue, it's getting people to use it, getting clients, getting it out into the marketplace, getting people to love it, getting people to talk about it, etc., etc. And those issues, I suspect it's true of any startup ever. But with AI, it's deceptive because you look at it and go, oh, that's lovely. People are going to love it. But the question is, well, which people? And my problem is I love doing the development. I've set up a number of companies. I love getting them right from naught right up to here. I enjoy that process. But, the whole thing of actually sort of reaching out and actually saying, right, okay, well, we've got the product now. Draftr is pretty much now at the point where I'm happy enough with it to show other people what we've done and say, look, do you think that'll help you in your situation? But that whole sales piece is absolutely my problem. I'm more focused on, just do another feature rather than reaching out on LinkedIn, whatever it is, or doing some AdWords or some, whatever that's going to be. So that's my problem. I know other entrepreneurs are absolutely with that problem, 100%. It's I can think of 4 or 5 people straight away that have done the same as me. They've set up an AI native company, they've got a product, it looks fantastic on the screen, but no one's using it, no one's paying them any money, number of paid users equals 0. So that's an absolute problem that I see. It's an absolute problem for me personally because I'm, propel head, geeky at heart, as it were. And, you know, that's something I need to sort of like knuckle down and give myself a jolly good talking to and just say, look, let's do this. Okay. So look, I hope that was useful. That was like, you know, 7 of the biggest problems. I'm sure there'll be others. And maybe I'll do another video in another kind of 8 months time saying, well, look, what are the problems? Have the problems changed? You know, I suspect they probably will. All right. So I hope that was interesting. I hope it was useful. If you've got any comments, drop them in the vid below, and you know, I will. So if you've got any comments, put them in the comments to the video, I suppose is what I meant to say. But drop the comments to me. I'll read every one myself, and if I can get back and get an answer to you, I certainly will. But if any resonate, just let me know. Okay. See you next time.